this open because we can also look to my website and show a few projects that led to this, but in a quick way.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
I'm Costin Benescu, also known as Alien Ape Star, my artist name, and I want to first ask Thomas, maybe he wants to do a small introduction about this project and how we got to do this together.
Yeah. I'm happy to do that. And great, we could have this talk. And Costin, he's the artist. I'm employed here by the library, Vejle Library, and we have been focused on art, tech, and literature for some years now. In a sense, in many years. But doing this kind of giving you the space, the cube to fill out and to show how you work as an artist and what books inspire you, what writers and articles and novels that inspire you, and how you combine your different artistic skills with technology to create something that really can spark thoughts and dialogue and engagement. I think that's been really inspiring. And we did this because you work here in Vejle and you do some quite interesting artworks, I think. And that's why we did it. And I'm happy that you could come and take over the cube and do a studio here and also build an exhibition. So yeah, and I would actually love to talk to you and hear a little bit about have you explained like your thoughts? What's your kind of your vision, your main focus when you talk about climate art and your background? So.
Yes, so thank you so much for the opportunity, Thomas. So the whole approach here was to have this pop-up studio in the back here, and then all the designs and artwork that I was producing this past month will be exhibited here. And the idea of this project called Climate Dudes is to have a more playful and optimistic approach to talk about climate issues, because I have the feeling that most people are quite down about it, and they just got tired with this like doom and gloom, oh we're all gonna die in 20 years kind of scenario. So I'm here to poke the bear and maybe bring some different perspective, maybe a little bit of uncommon knowledge that's not talked that much in the media or in everything around us. So because I've always been very curious ever since I was little, ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to know about the outliers, the people that were like not on the beaten paths, and like, hey, maybe we can do this differently. So that's why I'm interested in the like different perspectives on these kind of issues. So that's why I put together a small bibliotek, Vejle Bibliotek, Vejle Bibliotek here with books from different authors that inspire me. So books, if you look from the top, books that have a positive message, so good news, kiss the ground, stuff like that, and then direct things about the culture and climate issues, but also relating to nutrition and other things like that, because everything is connected. Obviously, we're being told we need to eat less meat to save the planet and so on. So of course I had to delve into this as well and bring a few books that touch on this subject of human nutrition and the relationship with the planet. But the project itself, the purpose is to relieve climate anxiety, because there is such a thing as climate anxiety, or seen in kids of all ages, people that are truly young or just young at heart, like us. We're of course thinking about the future, and it's normal, it's very human to be worried about the future and what the next 10 years, 50 years can bring us. So I want to bring a more positive note in the discussion. And also when it comes to the design and art side, I want to have a more playful approach. So bring everything from more like a toy design kind of vibe, because I always was passionate about toy design since the early to mid 2000s. Since I was in college and studying fashion design. And I brought some books where I have some articles published about my work back in Romania, where I was doing a lot of projects with recycled textiles and doing soft toys, so like plush toys. but always unique art toys, not like mass produced. And I was doing them by hand and always using recycled textiles. So that's where this kind of started to grow into more different projects related to gaming or to comics and so on, and toy design. Um, so, uh, for example, the way I approached this was, okay, maybe I can do some sketches, maybe I can do some maquettes, maybe I can use some 3D prints to kind of show the way I'm approaching this, and to show maybe how we could use some maquettes to inspire the people um, to accept, this different points of view, and maybe create artworks like human scale sculptures made of recycled wood and other recycled materials that can support biodiversity in a small village like Vandal, where they have this climate project where they want to build a new forest. So they're looking for artists to develop interesting things around the area. So to have some sculptures in that new forest park. So that's what this whole project is about. It's more like a prototyping concept phase where I also have dialogue with people and see what they're thinking, like how they see climate issues. So maybe I learned something, maybe they learned something. So this dialogue kind of inspires me into maybe making new sketches and maybe making new sculptures based on what I learn and how my understanding evolves and changes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Just a question about that, um, because I think that's very interesting. You seem to work a lot focused on different tracks, but they're also intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
Say toy design, climate art. Maybe it's been there for a long time. Maybe tracks are meeting up, and you want to actually engage with citizens. How do like you've done here? You've talked to a lot of citizens while doing this.
Yeah.
How are you going to continue that in Vandal? You think? Is
Yeah,
it going
so
to be a focus?
yeah,
Okay.
great question. So the project in Vandal already started, and the way it's working is we meet up. So we have these meetings with a few citizens of Vandal that want to get hands-on and help with this. So it's a community project as well, where when we have to start building these sculptures, I actually have to find ways to engage with the people and work with them directly. So if it's recycled wood, we need to find how do you call it in Danish, skabloner. So patterns of cutting the wood, like how, and then working together with the people to cut the wood and then assemble the sculptures, and then maybe find a way to make them easy to transport, because maybe they want to move them around when in the new forest they're building. So that kind of thing, where we have this like every 2 weeks we meet up and we hands-on work with the people in there to make these sculptures happen for them.
Yeah, interesting. The playful approach that you have, and also inspired by toy design, I think maybe you're going to show some examples now or
Yes,
talk about it, but
yes.
I think it's interesting to kind of try and comprehend. Um, I think it's been fun listening to you, and also trying to figure out how they're actually come together. Because I think that you talk about a positive approach to questions,
Yes.
also a factual approach to questions, obviously, but you actually mix it with artistic work that is also playful.
Yes.
So it seems that that there is a positive vibe. Is that also how you see it, or
Yes. Yes.
yeah? And how come, or yeah, what do you want to achieve, or kind of
Yes. So
what really drives you?
yeah. So what drives me is to have a multifunctionality when it comes to sculptures. Because if there's anything that bores the hell out of me, is
Yeah.
things that have one function. Um, Not to say that there aren't great things that have one function that we use every day. But for example, when it comes to design and art, I think nowadays we have so many opportunities to merge things together to do more interesting things,
Yeah.
to add depth and utility to things. Because for example, you can walk around in Vejle and in Vandal and in anywhere in Denmark, and you can find beautiful sculptures, but not so many of them are interactive. not so many of them maybe support biodiversity, right? But to give an example, like this sketch here for this bird fountain, the aesthetics, the way it looks like, it kind of looks like a toy, but if you scale it up to human size, you make this big 2 meters tall, then it is a sculpture that sits in a public space. So it has that aesthetic and it attracts and it's playful and positive. But then maybe you have another layer where it's actually a bird fountain. So there's a water feature there where you can support the local biodiversity, you can support the birds to have water and drink when they need to. And then maybe if you look at the second sketch, maybe the back is open. So maybe the sculpture is hollow and the kid can go inside, and if he or she sits very quiet as a mouse and have patience, maybe the birds will not be so shy and come to drink while the kid is hidden there. So they can have like a fantastic opportunity to see a beautiful bird up close. And then of course there's areas in Vandal where there's historical sites that are not very visible. People don't really know about them unless you're a local and you know where they are. So for example, there's a World War II German bunker that's open. Like there's nothing protecting it from people just running around and maybe falling inside and hurting themselves. So maybe we're looking into how can we do something like that, like a bird fountain feature near one of these bunkers to enhance, show into value the local history of the place, but also protecting it and also protecting the kids that play around in the area in a safer way, for example. So that way you have a sculpture that has, first, an aesthetic dimension, it looks interesting. 2, it supports biodiversity. 3, it's interactive and playful and gives kids an understanding of like, hey, maybe if you sit still for a little bit and you have patience, cool things can happen. You can see a bird up close, but you just have to wait. And the 4th dimension, functionality, can also be protecting a historical site and bringing that into the forefront so people can know about it if they're visiting Vandal, for example.
Cool.
So that's why I love combining these things to like have a multifunctional approach to sculptures and artworks.
Yeah, cool. So you have many dimensions, many layers, and you're actually trying to combine to create something specific, like concrete, tangible.
Yes.
Okay.
And of course, this is a learning experience for me. So I'm trying to do as much as I can with the people I'm working with and with recycled materials and so on. So even the approach is the process is interesting to me. And that's why I wanted to share it with the people that drop by around here in Bibliotek. That's why I had this project, so people can see me here, thinking about it, reading stuff, drawing, sketching, sculpting, 3D printing stuff. Because if you go to my Instagram, for example, this is my website. So if you go to the website, you can see more projects. But if you go to my Instagram as well, I've put most of the process as live videos on Instagram. So you can just tap on any of these and see all the process of me, like cutting out with laser all these maquettes, and then looking at the books, and then, for example, making this maquette, with biodegradable plastic clay, and other projects that are also in an environmental space, like this mural that I'm finishing behind Spinglihalne, that's done with Oko paint, so eco-friendly paint that is not giving any chemical fumes, and it's healthy, and
Okay, so people can actually go and see that.
Yes.
Now. Okay.
Yes. So that's where I put most of my projects on my Instagram. But of course, if you go on my website, here on the landing page, you can find in the lower side here, you can find my Twitter, my Instagram, my Behance, even my YouTube page, everything. You can contact me via the contact button, the email button as well. But when you enter the website, there's all these sections about things that I did before and I'm still interested in doing. So anything from like graphic design, toy design, NFTs, comics, animation, all these things. And also, of course, exhibitions and workshops. So if you go to exhibitions, I think I put this project there as well. And my plan is to upload as much content as I can, all the live videos from Instagram and so on, and photographs and videos and interviews and discussions with people. So you can see here the project, Climate Goods, Anti-Anxiety Art Toys, 2023, Denmark. So when you click, you see a photo of the bird fountain sketch. That's the most important one right now. The one that the people from Vandala are most excited about, and they want to see it made as soon as possible. And then a small video of walking around the space and showing it to people that are not here on site. Yeah.
Cool.
So that's the project. If you guys have any more questions, shoot.
What do you think about land art?
Land art.
Things that are made by the nature. It's also a thing for me that are interesting. That have
Yes.
many ways, can I say, for people and for also insects, for example, make land art, big insect hotels, for example, made by a lot of different nature materials, and put seed in the ground and in sculpture, for example, a big footstep in the ground. You can see our feet or toes, and put seeds, and it will grow, and we can see another. And because for me it's very interesting. Maybe it could help with this project.
This maquette actually that you see up
working
there.
outside.
This maquette you see up there that I also zoomed in on the screen here. This is actually a maquette for an insect hotel. So this will be made with recycled wood and with real tree branches put together into this sculpture, and all you have to do is drill some holes because the insects love holes. And we also talked with the people in the area. A senior lady that showed us there. There is, I forgot the name of it. There's this plant that's not supposed to be there. It's an invasive species, but the stalks can be used for insect hotels because they're hollow, kind of like bamboo. So you can cut those and you can put them in sculptures and stuff, and the insects love them to go in there and create shelter. So there is ways to use the land in a way to do really good, useful stuff that are also practical but also beautiful. Recently, I've been more and more interested in this concept of food forests. They want to do a food forest there. They want to combine like fruit trees with other stuff and with wild trees and so on.
Look about the permaculture, for example. It's also where I got this idea from
I'm very
sculptures.
Yes, I'm also very interested. Like, I mean, it's not the case in Denmark, but there are many places in the world where very small interactions with the environment can help increase the carbon sequestration in the area and also retain water. Because there's areas where there's very little water, like more desert-like environments, and there's people that found ancient ways to do some landscaping, very simple things that can also help the water stay longer in that area and just make the nature just come back to life and green the area and so like for example there I noticed a few examples in the south of the US in I think in Arizona desert. Two different approaches. Like one is with like making small river dams with rocks, just making a rock dam by hand. There's a guy has like a lot of land and he had a lot of brooks, like very small streams, but they were losing water quickly. Like in the desert, it rains rarely. There's a lot of water, but like then it's gone. So he built these like small rock dams, a lot, maybe 20,000 of them. And he improved the area so much because he slowed down all that water. When it rained, even though it rained rarely, the water stayed more on the ground, so it helps
The
clean
life
it.
will.
Okay.
And in similar areas, they're doing this with beavers. They're just dropping beavers near a stream, and then the beavers, of course, they beaver. They do their own beaver dams with wood and stuff, and then they do the same thing.
Yeah.
They increase the quantity of water in the area, so they green everything. And that also helps with wildfires because it creates a barrier, so the fires cannot come into an area that's very wet.
Mm.
So I'm very interested in these kind of things, and I'm really excited to see that there are positive things. People do interesting things to reverse desertification and to improve biodiversity and bringing nature back in areas where it's like really arid and like dry.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
even Bjarke Ingels, the Danish architect, super famous. I saw a recent talk from him where he was talking about this silver forest concept, where you can combine a food forest with animal husbandry, animal agriculture. So like you can have a food forest or an orchard, but you can also have some chickens around, some cows, you know, so kind of rewilding the way we do agriculture in a way that's more sustainable, healthier, and better for everyone, for the soil, for the biodiversity, and for our health, of course. Because every time we do monoculture, so like growing this plant separately here, this animal separately here, it doesn't really work, because like life doesn't work that way. Life is chaotic. It's like there's all these relationships between different species, and that we should use this concept. I just found this book, we talked about it today, where people talk recently about nature intelligence instead of artificial intelligence, looking into nature intelligence, so NI instead of AI. So looking at like, hey, all these billions of years of like life happening and evolution, like nature found a way to combine things and to make things happen. So maybe we should learn from that and apply it to our needs in a more smart and efficient way. So thank you for the question. Very good question.
And just here, like, if we are to wrap up,
Yes.
fine with you, then just shortly, how, if you are to kind of give a teaser or invite people to engage in the Vandal project,
Yeah.
what can they do, or what will be happening
Yeah,
this
so
autumn?
they could do two things. So if they can't come to Vandal in the beginning of December, they can just go to my website and follow this project, Climate Dudes, on my website, and they can see their updates. I'm gonna post their YouTube videos, Instagram lives, and photos and stuff like that. And the project is gonna be celebrated in December 3rd in Vandal, where they have their traditional Christmas lights opening, and that's when we will showcase the project. So if you're around Vandal, around like December 3rd, that's when it's good to come and see what happened with this project, and how it developed until the winter will be upon us.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It was great. Thanks.